Well, the third episode of Doctor Who's 15th series, or second season, written by Russell T Davies and Sharma Angel Wolfall, debuted yesterday on the 26th of April 2025. Ultimately, this is an episode I actually thought was really good. I mean, of the 3 episodes we've had so far of Series 15, or Season 2, The Robot Revolution, Lux, and now The Well, I actually think The Well is probably the best of those 3 episodes, which is kind of surprising. I mean, with the exception of The Robot Revolution to Space Babies, with The Robot Revolution, in my opinion, being better, this is following very much the kind of spirit of the previous series. I mean, you got the first episode, which is the first episode. Then you got the second one, which I feel is actually really fun, and I consider one of my personal favourites. And then with this and Boom, you've got an episode that I actually think has a chance of actually being the best episode of this series. That being said, is it perfect? For me, there are one or two pieces that I'm not entirely sure about. But anyway, let's get into this. Now, the first bit of the episode sees the Doctor and Belinda, played once again by Ncuti Gatwa and Varada Sethu, still in their costumes from Lux, with Varada still in that yellow dress. And while she still worries about getting home, the Doctor promises her he will eventually get there. And they eventually end up landing aboard a spaceship, and there's one part of the episode that I actually feel was a bit unnecessary, but that's just me, and that's the kind of costume change bit. Like, when they decide, of course, to change out their 50s getup, which they have to do in order to change into the spacesuits, I thought, do we really need the shot where they kind of go up the runway and then re-enter the console room now in their costumes? Like, that made sense for me for the Devil's Cord and for Lux, because, well, those are kind of different time periods, the 50s and the 60s, so it makes sense for them to have a bit more of a kind of catwalk sway with them, whereas just seeing them leave out of their 50s getup and then come back in spacesuits, do we really need that shot when they're walking back in? I don't know, it just felt a little bit unnecessary to me. But anyway, they then find themselves on board a spaceship full of a crew who are jumping down onto a planet 6767. Once the Doctor and Belinda have got their readings, they say, okay, you can drop us back off now, and they say, yeah, we can't go back for a couple of hours at least. And I'm like, alright, we might as well do this. Anyway, the planet they've gone down to, 6767, it's originally a mercury mine. Like, they come down there mainly to go and mine out mercury to use to kind of fuel the Empire and whatnot. And there is a little bit of a mystery going on, as when the Doctor and Belinda both mention kind of planet Earth and the human race, they're just like, yeah, we never heard of them. We're not that lot. It's like, really? I mean, the human race, they kind of live on for generations after this, but yeah, it's a bit strange. I mean, maybe we'll get that later on with the finale of Series 15. But anyway, the kind of expedition is being led by a woman named Shia Costalian, and played by an actress who I know I'm going to mispronounce the name. I'm so sorry. I'll try my best here. Quilin Dunn. It's either Quilin or Keeling Dunn. And she plays Shia Costalian, the kind of no-nonsense leader who's just trying to go get things done, get this out of the way, get what they need to get and get out of there. She's also kind of second in command by a man named Cassio Palin, played by Christopher Chung, who I personally think he becomes a little bit like the a-hole in this story. I think of him much like Walter Peck from the original Ghostbusters. I mean, oh, sorry. He's technically trying to do things by the book and trying to be kind of uptight, but in the end, if it's going to cost lives and if he's going to threaten the Doctor and Belinda, then yeah, this guy's not an a-hole. But ultimately, there is a kind of huge cast, as I said, Shia Costalian, Cassio Palin. But for me, the standout performance of this episode is Alice Fenley, played by Rose Ayling-Ellis. She's a cook inside the base of 6767, and when they come down there, she is the only person left alive of the original crew. She even admits that she, with one of her kind of co-workers nearby who was lying dead, she went, yes, I had to kill them, but they were going to kill me, and then my daughter would be left without a mother, and I had to. Now, Rose Ayling-Ellis is a celebrity I'm familiar with. I'm not necessarily all that familiar with her acting, given that I've never really watched EastEnders, which I gather is where she gathered a lot of her fame from. However, Rose Ayling-Ellis I am familiar with as a celebrity, as hell, she was a former Strictly champion, I think, 3 years ago? So by this point, almost everyone knows who Rose Ayling-Ellis is. I mean, she's an actress, she's a deaf advocate, and she's a former Strictly champion. And Doctor Who has had deaf actresses or deaf characters before. If you remember back to 2015, in the episodes Under the Lake and Before the Flood, Cass, the leader of the base, was played by Sophie Stone, another deaf actress and a deaf character. The main difference really between Cass and Alice is that Cass was the leader of the base. She was the one fully in control most of the time, and for the most of the time she actually stayed silent. She was mute. I mean, aside from the odd aside from the odd scream here or there, she was mostly silent and mostly communicated through sign language, especially with her translator Lun. However, in this case, Alice does talk throughout a majority of the episode, and one thing that was brought up, and I do actually like, is that the Doctor does try at first to communicate with her in sign language before Shire says, no, sorry, we have to use these hologram translators so that she can understand what we're saying and we can translate back and forth. We can't have any secrets here. But apparently this was a case that Rose Ayling-Ellis said that becoming fluent in sign language takes about 7 years to truly perfect. And what she liked was that even though he wasn't quite fluent yet, Ncuti Gatwa did actually take the time off set to actually learn sign language so that he could talk more effectively with her. And you know what? That's really nice. Anyway, Alice was a cook, and as she said, she had to kill her teammate in order to save herself. But then as it's revealed more and more, it's revealed through security footage that people started going mad. Like, they were having to kill each other, but then every single person would hear voices and go mad. And the main reason, because of some creature that had latched onto them that couldn't be seen. Eventually, Alice was the one who technically got the creature latched onto her, and it seems like it's constantly behind her. Even though nobody can actually see it, Belinda and other members of the crew catch brief glances of this kind of creature, only for like a second, and then suddenly it's gone. And like with another episode, which I'll bring up in a second, it seems very much kind of like Cabin Fever in that they're unsure what they've seen. Even Belinda tries to explain it off at first, just like, oh, well, there's nothing there. I mean, maybe I was just imagining it, but it becomes clearer and clearer there is actually something there. I do also like one interaction that Belinda has with Alice, in that when Belinda notices that Alice has injuries, especially on her hand, she offers to come forward saying, I'm a nurse, I can help. And even with hologram translator, Alice is like, you're a nurse, but you don't speak sign language. Isn't that illegal? It's like, it should be illegal. Like, I do like the idea of sticking up that people need various ways of communication, and that sometimes people do need to learn sign language. I personally don't know sign language, but I'm happy enough that it's being brought up. I also do like that Alice as a deaf character is being represented. I mean, Doctor Who has become very good at representing different disabilities over the years. I mean, Alice and Cass were both deaf characters. Hannah, if you remember from 2018's It Takes You Away, she was blind. And Ryan, as a companion, he was dyspraxic. And even Shirley Ann Bingham, from the 60th anniversary, she was in a wheelchair. So I do like that Doctor Who is representing all of these different disabilities. Ultimately, though, it's revealed exactly where they are and what actually the creature is, as it's a creature the Doctor has actually encountered before. As the Doctor begins to realise that with certain elements of this planet, the galvanic radiation and the extonic star, it begins to feel a bit too familiar for him. He eventually asks them, where is this? What is this planet? 6767? No, what was it called like thousands of years ago? What was its original name? Midnight. As the Doctor realises from 2008, this was the planet he visited in Midnight. and it suddenly becomes a whole lot creepier. Now, this is one part of the episode that maybe I do have a little bit of an issue with, but hear me out on this. This is still actually a great episode, and I do actually think it's one of the best episodes of Season 2 or Series 15 so far, but there are some Doctor Who episodes where I'd argue, do they really need follow-ups? Do they really need sequels? I mean, there are some Doctor Who monsters or some episodes that are just so good or so creepy, you don't really need to use them again. Like, just the idea that they're still out there, that's creepy enough. Like, for an example, the Weeping Angels. If the Weeping Angels had only been used once in the episode Blink, I feel that they could have gone down as one of Doctor Who's scariest creatures in years. Like, that one episode, it's so good. Kerry Mulligan being in that role, that episode is so good that if we'd never heard from the Weeping Angels again, if we'd never seen them again, but just knowing they're still out there, that, I think, could have been considered one of the all-time great episodes. The only thing with that now is Stephen Moffat did bring back the Weeping Angels a couple of times throughout his Doctor Who run. Hell, even after his run Doctor Who, they still did bring back the Weeping Angels a couple of times. Well, once after he left, and I do feel that once they were brought back, the Weeping Angels did lose a little bit of their sparkle. Like, they are still one of Doctor Who's greatest monsters, and still one of the scariest creatures the show has ever done, but after their first appearance, it just doesn't quite feel as special, if that makes sense. And to me, that's what I was slightly thinking with this episode. Midnight and The Well, they're both great episodes in their own right, but there is a slight question of, did we really need the Midnight Entity to return? Overall, I think they've got away with it here, but I just don't hope they overmilk this creature. Like, they don't keep bringing it back years down the line. I just hope they kind of learn to use this creature effectively. Anyway, it's eventually revealed that because Alice is deaf and she can't hear the kind of whispering voices that sent everyone mad, that's actually what partially helped her survive. It's also why around the base Belinda notices that all of the mirrors have been smashed, all the reflective surfaces. And that's why everyone kind of smashed them, so that they couldn't see the creature behind them, or the creature couldn't be seen, which I do think is a nice touch. Ultimately, the Doctor manages to kind of release Alice from the control of the creature by kind of activating the mercury, which acts as a reflective surface, allowing people to briefly see the creature, although we don't actually see all that much, and everyone is able to escape. Well, mostly everyone, as while the majority of the crew get away at first, the Doctor, Belinda, Shire, and another crewmate ultimately realise that one of them has had the creature latched onto them, and it's ultimately revealed to be Belinda, to which it does end with, for me, a quite heartbreaking end to the episode, in which Shire asks the Doctor if the human race is similar to their race. She actually asks if they did a non-fatal shot, if she kind of injured Belinda in such a way that it would be non-fatal, could the creature then pass to her? To which the Doctor admits it could, and while everyone hopes that they can find a better way, Shire is prepared to do so. She non-fatally injures Belinda in a way that the Doctor can help her later, before running back into the establishment, into the well, and ultimately falling down the well shaft in order to take the creature with her to allow everyone to escape. To which it does end up with a quite heartbreaking conclusion. Like, Shire was a character who, she had her uptight moments, but you did legitimately care for her. I mean, especially compared to the likes of Cassio, who, as I said, you kind of saw as a bit of an a-hole. But it was actually nice to kind of see the character develop the way she had. We do also get another appearance by Mrs. Flood, played once again by Anita Dobson, as another member of the crew has to make a report to her on what exactly is going on, who the Doctor is, and the like. To which more mystery is going to be revealed with her, I'm sure. To me, it kind of felt like with that appearance, it was a bit like Susan Twist, the previous series. But then there is another element that does slightly pull it back for me, and that's kind of right at the end of the episode, the crewmate has made a report, and now she's got to kind of write things up. and their crewmate kind of looks at her and is like, "What's that?" It's like, "What?" It's like, "Nothing." Almost hinting that the creature has survived and latched onto someone else. To which does pull it back a little bit for me. As I said, I wasn't sure about them bringing the Midnight Entity back, but ultimately this was a story that I think actually does really, really well. Can't wait to see what they've got next week with the next week's episode, Lucky Day. What happened then? We'll have to wait and see. But until then, I actually think this is a great Doctor Who story. I strongly advise you to check it out if you haven't already. Spoilers. Anyway, until next time, see ya.